Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please rise. Hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and join the board in a moment of silence as we honor our veterans and our first responders. And as I said earlier, please keep in your thoughts and prayers the family of Karen Pasqualina, who after a courageous 8-year battle with cancer passed away early this week. Karen is the daughter of former Mayor John Colbert, a classmate of mine, a friend, and she will be missed dearly. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Earlier this evening, during our public hearing, the continuation of our public hearing on the budget, the board unanimously passed our 2023-2024 budget with a tax levy increase of 1.79%, once again under the state mandated tax cap of 2%. And I am proud of the budget that we put out. I believe it's responsible, it's realistic, it maintains the services that we've been accustomed to, as well as adding some new items to the budget. So thanks to Mr. Chacon and to the staff in his department for that, as well as all the department heads who have to put out their individual budgets, okay? I also wanted to talk about something that went on this week on a personal level, and here I'm mixing kind of my two hats, but that's okay if I do it here. I just returned from a 8-day trip to Portugal where I led an exchange delegation from Mineola High School of 21 students with United Lisbon International School in Portugal, who had visited Mineola High School earlier in the school year, in the fall, as a matter of fact. It was a great experience for the 21 students involved, the vast majority of which had never been to Portugal or Europe. One of my colleagues who went as a co-chaperone had also never been to Europe, so I think this broadened their experiences. It got students to experience a different culture, different backgrounds, and they did attend school, so it wasn't all fun and games. They did participate in some classes, but they did, of course, have an itinerary where they visited things from castles to palaces to visiting. We took them to a soccer match, of course, so it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, tiring. Glad to be back, but I know that there were memories that will last a lifetime, friendships that will last a lifetime. So thank you to the school for giving our young students the opportunity to be able to do that. So, and also like to add that as the school goes, some of the students that were with me, we arrived last evening at 9 p.m. They had to be back at the school at 3 a.m. today to go to Houston to compete in the robotics world championship. So jet setting all over the globe for them. So again, it was a great experience, and I believe that, you know, although it was a school event, we go with the moniker of Mineola School District, so I think it certainly promotes the village as well and all that we do here as well. And on a sad note, as you heard me say during our opening remarks, while I was away, I learned that Karen Pasqualina passed away. Karen is a graduate of Mineola High School, class of 1989, and Karen and I went to school together from Jackson Avenue. We were actually in second grade together, and because of our last names, Pasqualina and Pereira, we often sat next to each other. And I have very, very fond memories of her. She was always smiling. She was a all-county gymnast, volleyball player, and just an all-around great person that will be missed. Just happens to be that she's also the daughter of former Mayor John Colbert. So my sincerest condolences to the Colbert and Pasqualina family, because Karen was taken way, way too young from us. So God bless you during this time of grief. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Kudos to you and bravo on a job well done in spearheading that trip. That was definitely an amazing trip for those children. So
Thank you.
you changed some of their lives, I'm sure. In Mayor Pereira's absence, I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to swear in our new chief at the fire department. So first and foremost, I'd like to thank Chief Martone for all that he's done. He was critical role in setting up our new fire headquarters. So thank you very much for all you've done for this village, Chief Martone. And I welcome Chief Margalis and First Assistant Strauss and Second Assistant Fernandez, as well as all of the newly elected officers. I welcome you. I thank you for your service to our village. We are all grateful for what you do for us. Also, last week, I attended a new ribbon cutting for a new business called Neo Medical. They are on Mineola Boulevard. They're basically a walk-in medical clinic, but a full-service clinic. They have a lot of different, both pro health as well as sickness remedies to offer. So if anybody unfortunately is feeling under the weather, they are definitely a great resource for us right here in our village. So they're on Mineola Boulevard for you. And upcoming, I would like to invite everybody to the ribbon cutting for our new fields on Saturday at 10 a.m. Our new baseball fields, the Little League fields, will be officially opened. Unfortunately, it was postponed due to some inclement weather, but it will happen this week. So we're excited to start those fields off with the season and see all the kids out there having some fun. So that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Trustee Casado?
Thank you, Mayor. I also wanted to congratulate our newly installed fire chiefs, and thank you to Chief Martone for all his time as chief, starting from first, second, so 6 years as chief. And he had a major input in the building of fire headquarters across the street. So congratulations to our chiefs, and Chief Martone, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Trustee Clark?
Good evening. I also want to congratulate Chief Martone on a fine job done. It's a great experience to be chief of the fire department, and he did a fantastic job navigating through that. The Monday after Easter, Easter Monday, there's a monument on the south steps of the county courthouse that commemorates that uprising in Ireland, and it dates back to 1916. And every year there's a service at that monument remembering those men that took on the challenge of trying to get British rule out of Ireland. And then there's always a repast right back here at the Irish American Society on Willis Avenue. It's a great event. It gets a large turnout, and Mineola is recognized as being a community that welcomes that type of activity, and it's a nice ceremony that they do every year. So that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Solowski?
I again would like to go along with the board in saying congratulations to the chiefs and a big thank you to Chief Martone for all his time and work with the headquarters, fire headquarters. I just have two things to mention. The Kiwanis Breakfast, which is on April 30th at Mineola High School from 8 to noon. It's a great thing to support. They are supporting local charities. And this Saturday from 9 to 1, the Mineola High School PTSA is having a clothing drive, and you can just bring your gently used clothes to the front of the high school, and they will take it from there. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. And I did speak to Chief Martone. Unfortunately, the day that I was leaving for the exchange with the students was the day that the new chiefs were being sworn in, but I did speak extensively with Chief Martone earlier that day and shared my sentiments, as the board has so well said, about the service that he has provided this department for the last 6 years, but most notably for the last 2 years. Unfortunately, because of some delays, he will technically not be the chief when we unveil the firehouse, but we all know that to say that he was instrumental in that beautiful building that you see across the street would be a gross understatement. He was absolutely pivotal and still is, and the only thing that I asked him on that Monday when I spoke to him is that he would stay on, if he would stay on and see this project to the end, take it across the finish line, and he graciously agreed, and we're glad because he has literally, this has been he's got a baby at home, but this has been his other baby for the last 2 years and counting. So, Chief, thank you. We know you're not going anywhere, but we certainly will not forget the role that you've played in leading this great department in the last 2 years, and the role that you played in this firehouse that hopefully will stand there for 100 years. So congratulations, Chief, and thank you. Okay, with that, I'll entertain any comments from the public. If you're the public, if you'd like to come on up.
My name's Sheila Ritagliata, and I'm a resident of Mineola, homeowner in Mineola since 1988.
Good evening.
And I confess, first of all, that I cannot stop bragging about this village and this kind of a process with anybody who has the patience to listen to you do that. When I tell people about these public opportunities to express what I want to express, in politically correct as I can, they go, what? And I said, yeah. So thank you for continuing this tradition in Mineola. It's, I know a lot of people from a lot of other places. I don't count that well, but people still say, what? So thank you, and welcome back.
Thank you.
And I was saying, you got here a little 9 o'clock last night.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
We landed at 9 o'clock. I didn't get home until past 11. But
Yeah.
I went to work this morning at 7:26.
I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed.
Still standing.
Because, yeah. All right, let's go on with business so I can. Anyone knows the destructionless glass frame? Let me know. Every pair of glasses I pick, somehow one arm always falls off. So bear with me with this. I'm going to speak as well as I can. I've tried to write as succinctly as I could this position, and I'll give this flyer to you if you want the flyer. We already know about the pancake breakfast. They're wonderful events. Okay, here we go. I'm going to speak as Englishly as I can and talk about the state of my home and my home share property. I'm going to speak on the subject of home sharing, which is something that I have done at that same address since 1988. I've been on the deed of that property since 1988. And since 1988, up till this moment, 70 different people have flowed through the house under the New York State house sharing guiding legislation. It's a New York State law, it's in the books and blah, blah. And up until 2016, I really didn't have to put too much of my own Social Security money and all that into it. But in 2016, there was a major change in policy, which you may know about, by New York State government at the time, that house sharing people were given more rights than land-owning people. Took priority, took precedence legally over landowners. House sharers got legal precedence over landowners. And so that the conditions under which people who shared my house with me, who were there at the time, had been paying what they agreed to pay, and we have everything's in writing. I do everything, legally correctly as I possibly can with all the paperwork and the terms, and as I've had enormous amount of training. Forgive me if I don't want to go into all that, but I've had an enormous amount of financial training since I moved to New York, which was a long time ago, and many, many friends in all sorts of financially connected businesses and whatever. And so many people have helped me develop this as an option, as an affordable housing option. I guess maybe I should really call this my affordable housing speech, which becomes, is very much in the news now, affordable housing. And the way I saw it, I liked affordable housing. I grew up at sometimes without affordable housing, and so I have a very strong personal feeling for how those options are important. Growth as graduate student or any place I've ever lived, affordability is always on my mind. So in 2016, when the law changed, things went along kind of okay, but in 2018, one of the particular residents at the time, and we had monthly meetings, by the way, we always had monthly meetings. What do you think should happen? How's it going for you? What can we do to make things continue to function as well? How do we get along? And I must say, no one that ever lived with me, except one, ever mistreated me personally. No one. We had disagreements, arguments, but no one mistreated me. In this particular incident, one person got very dissatisfied and threatened my life, and I had to leave the house to maintain my life. Fortunately for me and the people who were involved with my advocacy for my return and to deal with this issue, which was very complex at the time, Elaine Phillips was one of my, how can I say, my key sources of reference for these matters, and was willing to let me use her telephone when I had no access to a telephone. I got back after 2.5 months to a house that was wrecked from the inside. Everything, I happen to have a brick house. It's hard to wreck it from the outside. Even hurricanes haven't done that well with it. I'm very lucky to have that kind of a house. But the inside was wrecked. And some business associates made me an offer I couldn't refuse in the sense that I needed money to regain things, moved in and promised to pay and so forth and so on, but quickly, once again, slid into this squatter position. And as of this time, one remains. Two have gone, finally, after many, many years of speaking with many authorities. And I have to say this, too. Everyone that I have dealt with in the village and in authority position has been open-minded in the way that they spoke with me. There were very few people who had a direct solution, because everybody's job is different, and everybody's got legal parameters. But there was nobody unwilling to speak with me and listen to me about this issue. And for that, I can't say enough. That's one of the things I brag about in Mineola. Besides this meeting, I also brag about that. And that includes the 3rd Precinct, and the fire department people, everybody. However, people's powers are limited by law. And so we, trying to see that there was some usefulness to what I do, particularly for local employers. I live near a shopping center. There are lots of, I hate to use that word marginal, but they're marginal in the sense that they're temp employees. And this form of housing is particularly useful for those kind of people, particularly in the shopping centers and local businesses who young people don't necessarily have or want housing. They don't want to buy a house and so forth. This is all in the news right now, I'm sure you know. And this gives them an opportunity to see how things are living here and to make new opportunities for themselves, and many did. Many moved on and up and into other, ways of living besides in my house. Why I wanted to make this address is to simply be public in a way that Village of Mineola offers me the chance to be. To simply say publicly, instead, because what I have discovered in this experience, which I have discovered in other areas of my life, that rumors are very powerful. And when rumors pass along, I think there's been Broadway plays written about that, and there's lots. Rumors can be very, very damaging. when they're half-truths and not the whole truth. So I simply want to just say my truth and leave the decisions up to whoever has the power to make decisions that are relevant to what I'm saying. I think really, instead of all this stuff, rid of all this stuff, you know, so, I like writing, and I'm good at it when I have the time to do it. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say. Oh, yeah, the main thing. There are many options. I have studied real estate and as I said, finance and have many certificates and all of these kinds of things from New York State authorities, blah, blah. As well as in the area of crisis intervention. I happen to be a certified crisis intervention practitioner and teacher. And so all of that served me very well through all these experiences on behalf of my children, on behalf of the people that live with me also, because, you know, people get scared of different things. And so all these skills have served me well in this particular situation that I'm talking about. My hope, and I can only call it a hope, because a particular position that I take is that I really don't know the future. I don't know yours, I don't know mine, I don't know anybody's future. But it's not for me to know. My hope, so I call it a hope, not even a plan, because I can't plan for this. But I'm setting myself up day after day, setting aside what I really love to do, which is my business. I'm in show business, and I'm in promotions and marketing and so forth and so on, and I participate with a lot of people in a lot of activities all over Long Island. I have not been able to do that since returning to my home, since this event happened, to do much of that at all. Because of the arduousness of the paperwork involved in just holding on. I am buried in paperwork, which keeps changing every day. And also I was without electricity for 5 years and had to rely, yeah, I know. No, that wasn't fun. That meant no heat, except, you know, what I could generate with a generator from the garage and a lot of help from a lot of friends and controversy because of, you know, lines and expense and so forth. But that's all over. That's over, I hope. It's over for now, let's say. I'm back with PSEG and I have an understanding together. We're doing very well together. And also my car was stolen, which makes business very hard to do. And there's progress on every front to being able to maintain what I hope is my main thing, which is to do as what I was taught when I was in school back in Baltimore, that the founding fathers of our country hoped to maintain the rights of private property so that we could pass them to our heirs, whoever we chose our heirs to be. I choose my children, I have two. I've had many children in my life, I have godchildren, but they are not included in this particular transaction, although I'm in touch with them all the time. That's my primary hope. I kind of see it, my personal opinion is that it's a mainstream American hope as my student of history and social policy forever and ever. And so I'm looking for any suggestions or any assistances that anybody is willing to offer me. I am open to any ideas. Many real estate people come to me. I also have I don't keep it active, but I've studied real estate, had a real estate license and so forth and so on. And I understand there are parameters to everyone's business, and the real estate industry is it's struggling right now. That's what my friends tell me anyway, who are in it, because of COVID and blah, 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 all the current things that or past few years that have gone on to make real estate transactions very difficult. I am open to any suggestion that anybody has, as long as they're willing to hear me say no thank you. Thanks, but no thanks. And I'm willing to share whatever I have learned up to this point with anybody who wants to learn from my experience. So I just leave that with you, and once again, I can't thank you enough for these opportunities. Take care.
Thank you, we appreciate that. And good luck with finding a resolution and finding peace and staying safe.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
And hopefully someone who's listening can perhaps help you. Obviously, I dare not give you legal advice
Wasn't
or
asking.
real estate advice, but as you mentioned at the outset, with this New York State house sharing law, it really does start with the state, so perhaps start with them. I know the governor has a representative in Nassau County. You can reach out to the governor's representative. If you don't have his contact, you could reach out to our clerk, and he will get you the governor's representative. But it's, you know, the village deals with zoning laws and special use permits, and we certainly do have some expectations, and as you yourself confessed, there have been issues at that property, whether it was property maintenance issues or other issues, but we're not here to talk about that. The Nassau County Bar Association, the Legal Aid Society, those may be suggestions as to where you may start to begin to see what options are left to you. But again, the house sharing law that you talked about is not a village law,
I know.
so we don't have any control over that. So I would suggest starting with the state and perhaps trying to get some legal advice from a legal aid society or from the Nassau County Bar Association.
May I, I'm sorry to,
Yep.
I should interrupt because, thank you, but ever since I got back in the house, I've been doing all of those things.
Right.
All of those things. That's why I offer my assistance to anybody, because I probably know more about the effort. I've made 5 years of continual effort with every agency, every service that is offered on the computer by any entity. I've pursued them all. And that's why I finally decided I had to say something publicly, because it sounds good until you ask the question. And this, as far as New York State, I understand, I agree with you 100% New York State, but I've worked with New York State people continually, know people in the office, make calls on a regular basis. They know everything. They know everything about my situation. I've turned in papers, I'm talking papers and papers and papers to all authorities who say, send me a paper. You know, make applied in person, in paper. I've done everything I can. I'm not big on doing this work on a computer because I have my own reasons for thinking the computer is not private enough for what I'm interested in. I don't need anybody else, you know, prowling around my house saying, oh boy, this girl's in trouble. You know, I don't need that. So I do work in person directly with every authority. And it's another thing I brag about in terms of living here in this particular area. The governmental authorities have maintained open offices. I have friends who drive me, veterans, I work with veterans who drive me to the office so that I can make personal, in-person applications and get copies and so forth and so on. I've had enormous amount of friendly help, but no authoritative help so far. So I'm simply telling the story to say, I don't know how many people are in my situation, and I'm not talking about house sharing, but just private property, home ownership under, you know, these current historic times. History affects everything. Maybe there's somebody else who's like me, but even if there's not, I still hold to the principles that I've been operating on for all these years, and I hope that at least somebody walks side by side with me, that's good enough. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a great night. I'll entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Sartori. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Solosky. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Hopefully we'll see you this Saturday, 10 a.m., Little League Fields for the ribbon cutting. Thank you and have a great week.